Good morning, everyone. I'm Brian, Career Advice UK, known as the Career Change Guide. Today, I'm going live talking about the UK job market and how turbulent it is and what you can do to help yourself stand out. Good morning, Sunny. Thank you for joining. How are you today? Hey, Sky. Good to see you. So we're going to spend the next hour or so talking about what you can do to help you position yourself for the job market. And just to let you know, I do run a business called LeapStart Careers, helping people with their CVs, prepping for interview, and also social media profile reviews. I have on the site, I do have two books, one about career change, and the other one is UK Job Seekers Playbook, covering the recruitment process from application through. Hey, Sunny and Charlie. Through the hiring. I have also put together a disability guide for those of you who are disabled and want to know how to navigate the process from CVs to interviews and also workplace. And also, there is a section on neurodivergence. So, check out Leap Forward Careers for the guide. The guide is free. It doesn't cost you anything, but there is a charge for the UK career change and also the Job Seekers Playbook. So, if you do, the way I operate my live streams is this. I do talk about pick a topic, and I do talk about it during the hour. If you do have questions, hey Tracy and Elsby and Chin, good to see you all, and Carrie, good to see you all. So, and M. So what I'm going to say to you is this: if you have a question, put it down in the comments. I pick up comments relating to career only. Hey, Nick Robinson, relating to careers, and I will answer them in the first come, first serve basis. Sometimes I will get asked about guest spots, and what I will say is this in regards to guest spots. I do operate guest spots on a point basis because it is for me, this is for you, and I do want to be able to ensure people who have questions can ask them. Guest spots do tend to take up a bit of time. And so what I will do is do it on a point basis. So once I hit 1,500 points, I will do a 5-minute guest spot. I will randomly pick someone, and usually when I do pick them, usually it winds up being somebody who's not contributed, and this is in part due to a couple of reasons. I don't want to be seen to be playing favorites to those who have contributed, and also to usually when I've done it in the past, the ones that are the most interested in doing the guest spots tend to be the ones that don't give the gift. So the point. So if you want to do it, we would need to hit 1,500. At 1,000, I do give free CV tips. At 2,000, interview tip, and at 3,000, I do have a free CV template that I do send out. And also, too, once we hit all the goals, the live goals, I do have a big surprise for everyone. Doesn't matter if you contributed or not. It's a big surprise for everyone. So, and finally, just to let you all know, with the book, the UK Job Seekers Playbook 2026, I've done a promotion with a free code to get the copy free. The only thing I do ask, if you do find it helpful, you leave a review on my site along with a review if your account allows it on Amazon. And so if you want the code, all you have to do is just message me and I will send it to you. Um, so if you do like the feed, please like, please share, and please follow. So let's dive in today's discussion and talk a bit about um, making the best of your job search in the UK. So, as you know, in the UK right now, unemployment is sitting at 5.2%. However, um, average starting wage tends to be right now, I think, right around about 43,000. And about 73% of employers are unable to fill all their vacancies. So this really seems to be a bit of a contradiction in the way of, if we would be seeing high employment, we would also be expecting to see a drop in wages. But that's not a case, and we would be expecting to see employers being able to hire. But what's happening is that they're not filling those positions. And why? In part, it is because there is a lot of competition, and that means, hey, thank you, LS, for the follow. What it means is this: employers can be selective, and so they're being selective, and they're looking for not just any candidate to fill the positions that they have. They are looking for the best candidate, and they're looking for the best candidate, excuse me, and that most closely matches the role that they are filling. So that means, what it means then, basically, they're taking a very much a leisurely selection. They're going through, and if they don't find anyone they like, they will go through the next group of candidates and just keep on looking until they find the one that, hey, Jew, good to see you. And so it means that they're finding and looking, hey, how are you, Izzy? How are you doing? So what it means is that they're taking a look, being really selective. I just dropped something. And so they're taking their time. And so what it means for you as a candidate applying for these jobs, it means a couple things. It means when you do your, hey, Regis, good to see you. When you're doing your applications, you need to avoid sending out generic CVs. You just have to avoid those. You can't send out the same CV to every company. Why? Because having sit on the other side reviewing applications, it is very easy to know who has taken the time and who hasn't. It stands out that easy. And it has nothing to do with, ATS software, bots, filtering out your application. Has absolutely nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that you're just sending off the CV after CV, hoping that somebody will invite you to an interview. And it doesn't work that way. So what you need to start be doing is start sending off. Exactly, that's what you should be doing. Yeah. The most telltale sign, good question, Redrix. The most telltale sign that somebody has put time in is the fact that it you can tell because there's detail in the application. There's detail in the application. The application sits and mirrors the job description. So you can sit there and you can read it. You can say, yes, this person has this skill and matches that part of the job description. It is, it reads as though they know something about the organization. They know something about the the job, and they've taken the time because you can see through it, because it's well, structured. It is, it makes sense. It's not really choppy. The thought is completed. There is a lot of nuanced things, and so you can tell and you can see it matches, the job description. It matches, and they provide, enough evidence that they've done the role, that they have really taken the time. And so really, to answer that question in a very simple way, the way is that, that it is aligning, it is because it comes across as they took the time to read it and to prepare their response. So very good question. Thank you for asking that. So what is, no problem. So, if you have some more questions, feel free to put it down below. That was 2 very good questions. So, regarding applications. So, to really stand out, what does this mean, when we're talking about the 2026? Hey, Cage, good to see you back. So what does this mean when you're applying for a job? What is it that you really need to do to get an invite to the interview, and then ultimately to get that job? What it really means for you is this. Hey, Gilma. It's a good question. The best thing I can say is this. If you are, if you're going to follow a career path, where it kind of just pays the bills for you, ultimately, for a couple of years, I found this, for a couple of years, it's going to work well. You'll be making a lot of money, and you will, feel like you're on top of it. But what's going to happen after a couple of years down the road, you're going to get burnt out. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to start feeling unfulfilled. You're just going to start to lose interest, because it's not what you ultimately want. So if you go down the career path, where you enjoy something, it is, it is at that point, if you find something that you're more passionate about, you may not ultimately make as much, but you'll find that you're more fulfilled. You wind up finding out that you're advancing a bit more, and you may be a bit more happier in it. So for me, from my own experience, what I would say is follow your passion. But again, I think you do need to be a bit realistic also in it. With that kind of caveat, there is a caveat to that. And that caveat is this. If you are, let's say, looking at, for example, university majors and trying to figure out what you're passionate about, if you, for example, really like the classics, like ancient history, for example, there's not a lot of jobs available for it. But what you need to do is start to maybe translate that into something else that maybe pays. So it may be, if you like ancient history, maybe then it's something better for you to take a look at, maybe travel or tourism, because again, you may be able to draw on some of that ancient history background by making recommendations to customers, maybe being able to work at agent site or whatever. And it allows you at that point, to fulfill a part of that. Hey, thank you, Izzy, for the follow. For you allowed you to do that. It is probably do what you're passionate about, but also be realistic. Again, another kind of poor career choice where maybe you would say you want to do psychology. You really like psychology, you want to go into it. Problem is with a degree in psychology, unless you get into a clinical psychology, organizational or sometimes research psychology, there isn't a lot of good question. I can answer that for you. Good golly. What it is, what I will say to you is this: at 2-1, I'm becoming a barrister. It's a very long process. From when I did my law degree, the route was that you would do your BVC, you would do a year, you'd find a temple, and then you do a year's placement, and then you would have to wait to be called to the bar. And being called for some could take years. So it's not always guaranteed that once you do your BVC, you've done your placement, your year placement at the temple. There's no guarantee once you've completed that you'll get a job. It is unfortunately a very long time that you can wait for it. It doesn't make so much of a difference if it's 2-1 or full honors, as long as you have at least a 2-1. You just need to apply to one of the 4 temples, start to apply, and just see where things go. It's not as, how should I say, it is a little bit of a, how should I say, the route to a barrister is less certain than a solicitor. And even with the solicitor route, you do your LPC, you do your training contract, and then after that, you still, there's, even once you complete your training contract, you're not guaranteed that the training contract will then translate into a job for you. Most of the time it will, but there is no guarantee that it will. And statistically, about 40% who finish their LPC will walk out with no training contract. And I've known people who have gone through their LPC and have waited several years before they got an actual training contract. So once you complete your degree, there is a bit of uncertainty on either route. Maybe LPC or BVC. With the BVC, which you barrister route, the other thing you do need to kind of keep in mind is as a BVC, when you do your BVC, you work as self-employed most of the cases, whereas a solicitor is employed, which then means you need to find a chamber where you split the costs, for, hey, Tier Man, where you split the costs for rent, utilities, and all this, but you work all as very independent contractors. So again, it depends a lot on how much business you can drum up for yourself. So it's the route for a barrister is very, like I say, uncertain, in the sense that you have to wait to be called to the bar, and then you work in most cases independently. And so you need to be able to get enough business to sustain yourself to meet your expenses for the chamber, because you, like I said, most of the time you'll be sharing an office space with other barristers. Um, and so it is, but again, if you are good at it, hey, Han, good to see you. Thank you for joining. You will make, better pay probably than a solicitor. The other thing I always will tell people is if you are looking at the law route and you want a bit more certainty, there is a lot of options in the non-practicing route. And I do that and I talk about that because I do hold a master's in law myself. But I went down the non-practicing route, and I would have to say I'm a lot happier and very thankful I didn't go down the route to practice. So, and also too, there is the other option for you is kind of the legal executive, and that will be, where you just do with a 2-1. You would only, I think, have to put together a 3-year portfolio for it to be reviewed, and then you can practice as a legal executive. So that's always, I would say, an option to consider. So yeah. So I would, take a look at that as a possible option for you too. So if you're just joining, I'm Brian, Career Change Guy, Career Advice UK. Hey June, good to see you. Talking today about how to make your CV stand out. And how to navigate this very kind of turbulent UK job market with 5.2%, how to ensure you get interviews, and what is the current market like. I also have done a couple of books, the UK Job Seekers Playbook 2026, that talks about the whole recruitment process from beginning to end. It has a lot of templates, examples, and advice and tips and advice for you. It's available for purchase at LiveStart Careers. It's also I do also have another book on UK Career Change UK, available for purchase, and I have just put on for no charge to anyone a disability guide for those who are disabled. And I included a section on neurodivergency, which is available, like I said, for a free download from my site of Leap Forward Careers. So take a look at Leap Forward Careers downloads. They have the 3 books for purchase, and I am just in the process of finalizing another guide on salary negotiation, which should be live sometime today, and I believe it's going to be, I think, a small fee charge for that one. I think right around £4.99, but I haven't fully decided on that, so there's that option for you. Hey, Petty Lily Buzz. So if you're just joining and you have a question, so I'm taking questions today on CVs, cover letters, interview tips and advice, how to maximize your interview in this very kind of unpredictable job market. How do you, get that job offer? How do you cut your, job search time? So how do you do that? And also too, I'd also do talk about, starting a small business, university choices, UCAS process. Looking forward, do a bit of salary negotiation. And also too, I do offer, as part of Leap Forward Careers, I do offer a free, no pressure, no obligation call to talk through your situation and to give you maybe a little bit of a tip and advice on your next steps and where do you want to go with it. So I would encourage you to also take a look at that. And so what I'm saying to you right now is, if you are out there applying for jobs and wondering why, you're sending out literally hundreds of applications, but not getting any responses back, or very few. It's not really due to the job market this time. It's really about how you're presenting yourself and how you're answering questions. Because really, at the end of the day, what happens is people like to just do things very quick, boom, 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 make themselves feel good. Hey, lady pom pom. And so what it happens is people like to send out hundreds of CVs. It makes them feel really good. But what they're doing is they're sending it out, the same one. Oh, well, thank you, Simon, for the roses. Oh, that's really nice. Thank you. People want to send out, hey, sweet girl. And people want to, send out the CVs. I'm doing good. How are you, Simon? So people want to send out their CVs. They want to really, I'm in the UK, North Yorkshire way. Just doing the live here, Simon. So yeah. So what are it's for me it's early because I'm going to do this for about an hour, and then as soon as I'm done I got a few other things to do. So I am. Hey Luke, how are you? So I'm kind of getting things off and started. Oh, well, thank you, Simon, for the additional roses. Thank you. Oh, that's very nice. I'm in North Yorkshire. Hey, McDonald's is a really good, actually, it's a really good job to work for. They have one of the best training and development programs in the world. Well, thank you for the roses, Simon. Thank you. So are you, reading? I know McDonald's in this country tends to be, I know McDonald's in this country tends to be very selective for some reason. So have you do you have any background, Luke, in they may do, but it's usually I know, like in the States, for example, McDonald's will pretty much hire anyone and give them a chance and bring them up. I find it a bit odd in this country that McDonald's tends to be a bit more selective. Usually, have you tried to look at their management program? Their management training program, because usually they will have a management training program where they bring you in and train you to run a store and stuff. Oh yeah, anyone can apply with McDonald's. I would. Hey Thomas, how are you? So, if you have a question, I'm in North Yorkshire here. I am in North Yorkshire. That is in the UK. Yeah. So what do you get nervous about in interviews? When you go into an interview, what makes you nervous? Is it Okay. Do you declare that as, do you make it known to them that you have, um, do you let them know before the interview that you have a little bit with stuttering? That you do stutter sometimes? Um, so, I mean, if you are, uh, I can understand that you feel the pressure. So, one of the things you can do, um, is, is when you go into the interview, is sit there and talk to them and say to them, I'm so and so. Just to let you know, um, I'm a bit nervous. As when they ask you, tell me something about yourself. You can always just say I'm so and so, and one of the things just to make you aware before we get too far into the interview is that I do stutter because I do get nervous in this situation. So just please just understand, as we go through this interview process, that I may stutter a little bit because I'm just getting a bit nervous, and and I hope it I hope it doesn't reflect negatively on me. Um, and so what I would just say at that point, it's just make it clear to them that you do have a little bit of a problem with stuttering. Um, and just let them know it shouldn't really make much of a difference. If they're disability friendly employer, they should be, hey DZ, good to see you. Um, they should be, you know, supportive of that and understand, and they will most likely try to do something to help. I know some aren't. But what they will do is a lot of times will try to reassure you, not to be worried. If you just need a moment, think through. Um, you can always, option, if you are, when you are trying to, if you're struggling with trying to come experience, you can always try to think about other experiences. So maybe from previous jobs, um, because are you making a career change, or is this your first job when you're talking about civil engineer? Or is this your first job, or do you have previous job experience? Okay, so what you just need to do is think about your other experiences. So if you've done any volunteering, any internships, work placements, extracurriculars, think about those experiences, and then take a look at the job description and start to identify potential experiences that you can use. But what you need to be very careful about at this stage is not trying to over exaggerate or create experiences that never happened, because it will come out at some point that you may overstage yourself, or you created it. So be honest, but if you can find a way to evidence it, like, or to give an example. So really, when you're doing a application or an interview, what you really want is three parts. One, it's to identify what the situation was. What was your intervention mean? What did you do? Did you bring in other people? How did you solve the problem? What was the result? of your intervention, and then maybe do a little bit of self-reflection as part of that result, and talk about anything that you learned from it, and do it that way, because that will really help to land anything for you. So it's about being able to reformulate. The other thing too, what I would strongly recommend for you is not to use a chronological CV, but use a functional CV, because functionals will highlight your skills, so you can start to draw on the skills that you developed in university and elsewhere and market it that way, and it de-emphasizes any type of lack of job experience. Hey, Stoker, thank you for the roses. Thank you. And so it will really start to de-emphasize. No, that's fine. It's not about so much about experience. It's about right now focusing on, thank you for the roses, Stoker. It's about right now talking about and showcasing your skills, because really what you want to do is showcase your skills and really show the skills that you have, and really show the skills that you have, so you can do this via your functional CV, and to do it that way. So if you do it thank you, Stoker, for the hand hearts. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yes. So it's about at this stage, because they will know, a potential employer will know that that you're just starting out from university, that you are right now starting out from university, that you do have minimal experience. They know that. So what you really need to show is the skills that you have, the experience that you have, not in jobs, but any volunteering, any internship, job placement, work placements you have done, anything extracurricular, so that you can show what you're bringing to it. What is the full package? What are they getting from you? What are you bringing to them? And that's what they're really looking for. And I would just say, really work on that and really bring that to light. Show them, who you are, what you're bringing, because that's what they're really looking for, is what is it that you can achieve. They don't care so much about the experience right now in the marketplace. Hey, Fallen, what they are caring about is what? Okay. I would say wouldn't worry too much right now. I wouldn't say too much about, worrying about too much about it, because for right now, I've worked with AI. I use AI a lot. And right now, what I'm finding with AI is AI needs still a lot of work. It needs a lot of work. It's what I would say, if we talk about I wouldn't say right now, wouldn't worry too much about AI taking over stuff, because really what it is, if you really think about it, roughly 30 years ago, 35 years ago, we all faced a massive change, and that change was the integration of desktop computers into the workplace, into the home, internet became kind of, yes, and it is getting there. So when computers came in, everybody was kind of getting in this kind of doom spiral. You know, computers are going to take over jobs. Nobody's going to have any jobs because computers will do it all. Um, and the reality is this: not a lot. Hey, Mike and Fallen, good to see you. Not a lot, and Kiko, not a lot has changed. We still have cashiers because that was a big fear we'd lose cashiers. Everything would move online. We wouldn't have any brick and mortar businesses. You know, and we would kind of lose this where we would just work on computers. This very kind of how should I say, this kind of like kind of sci-fi type of world. But the reality is that we still have cashiers, we still have accountants, because again with accounting, math, computers are mathematic, do calculations, and so a lot happened with AI, with computers. So we still kept accountants because we had a lot. Hey, Shaba, how are you? A lot more. Developed the software. So accountants moved from kind of keeping journals, moved to doing it all on software. And I think with the AI right now, you still need to write the prompts for AI. You still need to review the output. I think AI right now is at the point where it's efficient. It's an efficiency where it will cut the time to do a task, but you still have to conceptualize what it is you need the AI to do, tell it what it needs to do, and then to review that. And so I think it is, and I think we're at that point. I think even as AI evolves like computers did, we started to see a lot of change in like computers, like data analysts, big huge data, a lot more focus on cybersecurity, a lot more jobs created, and I think that's where we'll go with AI. So, and to your question, Lucas, not sure what you're asking, Lucas. Okay, so it takes a lot, user 7654, to be a social media influencer. And I can tell you, doing kind of working with TikTok, having a small following of 4,000. My spouse it's also on TikTok. She has well over 20 now. You don't need to apply to become one. You just need to create a following and create content that people actually watch, and engage with you and kind of buy from you, follow you. And it's not that easy to do. It is not. I can tell you from my own experience doing TikTok. I rarely sell anything. I will get people sending me stuff to do videos for. It is. I rarely sell anything. I probably, if I'm lucky, makes £10 a month selling anything, and that's really kind of a generous estimate. A lot of times it's like a pound or two, maybe 5 if I'm lucky, but 10 is quite generous. And kind of doing from the lives and the coins and stuff I get. I'm lucky if I hit like 20 or 30 pounds. So at the end of the day, what I would say probably with the selling and the live streams and stuff, I'm lucky if I make 20 pounds. Now with my spouse who does it, and she's been in the Daily Mail a couple of times with her work from TikTok, she will do a lot of selling. She will probably make, if she's lucky, 20 or 30 pounds from selling, and from her content that she gets, you know, in the range of, if she's lucky, 50 to 200 a month. And it really varies a lot. So all in all, we're probably talking for her 50 to 80 pounds on the low end, maybe. Hey, thank you, Forks, for the follow. So on the high end, you know, 200 or 300 pounds on the high end. So it's not a lot. And to get sponsors, you know, really it's, you know, to get sponsors, you need to get, and it's going to take you several years, you would need, you know, in the neighborhood of 50 to 100,000 followers at least. I think probably to get the real sponsorship, minimum of 100,000 followers, and that's not really easy to do. And even if you get 50,000, it does take a lot. It does take time. I know with my spouse, 4,000 is not. My spouse is getting closer to the 50, and she has a few kind of deals with a few organizations, but they're really small time, and they're not anywhere close to 3,000 per sponsor. And for you to really to get that, like I said, you need about 100,000. And that would probably, you know, would probably take you if you really put your heart and soul into it, 1 to 2 years. And if you did it like full time and you just cranked out content after content, which is really hard to do because it does get really taxing, and you do get a point where you just start to burn out, you start losing ideas. It is not, it's not that easy to do, and it takes a lot of time to edit correctly. It takes a lot of time to get the lighting right, and to get a good script and keep stuff fresh and keep the content. Because if you don't do that, you know, you're not going to get the followers. And it's not always, people always think, oh, if I get like 100,000 views or 1 million views on something, I'll get, you know, the followers. But you really don't. It's really dependent. I think you do wind up at some point. Everyone winds up burning out at some point. I think people do burn out. So what I would say is, you know, people do burn out. I think with TikTok, there is, you know, if you're really trying to get the sponsors, it does take a lot, and you really have to really kind of manage yourself and kind of manage your time and really plan the content and really get the support to do it, because it's not an easy route. And I think it's I think if he burns out, I think burnout is really um, as a result from you're continuously doing it and you're not getting a break, you're not finding a way to kind of decompress, to kind of let yourself, you know, have a break from what you're doing. So you're continuously doing something. So with sales, it's very easy because you really are driven to make the sales. And I've known a lot of salespeople. And what happens is they will basically um, continuously to sell. So they have very long days, 60-hour work weeks. And at the end, they will just, yeah, exactly. It does take a while to really recover from burnout. Um, and you really need to give yourself a break. You need to give yourself time away. You need to find other activities. Thank you for the follow, David. Um, and you really need to really find, something to detract yourself to really, really, kind of give you that break so you don't wind up burning out. You need to really manage your hours. You need to manage the stress. You really need to, make sure that it doesn't become like your only focus, because if you do, what then happens is you do wind up burning out, and I think it really just winds up. Well, thank you for the rose, Sandra. That's very nice. Thank you. Um, so yes, so it is something to burn out, and it is something to really take and consider. When you're doing any job, it's making sure you do give yourself the time off, that you take the time that you need. Otherwise, you will um, exactly wind up burning out. And when you do burn out, it can cause a lot of other problems, like ulcers, headaches, heart problems, just to name a few. So it's really important that you take care of yourself. Um, so yeah. So just kind of remember, if you do like to feed, please, it is. So it's always important to make sure you manage your stress and your time. So if you do like to feed, please please share, and please follow. And likewise, to remember, I do offer, if you do have questions after this, depends on what you do, but most likely, I don't think it will. I don't think it directly, unless it's indirectly, if it's due to rising costs such as energy costs. Um, hey, I'm happy. Hey, good to hear from you. I do hold my LLM and an LLB. Um, the things I can give you as general advice for law, I haven't seen it as much, but they are going to be going up for a bit. So I'm happy. So the best thing for you is this. For law, it's a very kind of um, result. So they want you to be able to walk away with at least a 2-1, if not full honors. If you want a BVC or an LPC placement, that's a good question. I think we'll probably start seeing a return back to working from home. Also, to in regards to that, get as many work placements as you can, job placements, internships as you can. If you can work part time, try to get one with a law. I think you'll probably start to see that in the coming weeks. Um, I would say, do your, make sure you walk out with at least a 2-1, put the time in, get a job with a law firm, and be prepared if you're not if this is your first year, next year in year 2, you will start applying for training contracts with the bigger firms. And so you will need to be able to apply. So you'll need to apply for your placements, training contracts, and you'll need to start to work out, do you want to do BVC, LPC, or do you want to go down, like I did, the non-practicing route? A user 8294. So you'll need to, plan for that, and start making a lot of decisions. The best advice I can give you is to spend a lot of time studying and do the best that you can, because the harder you work, the more it will pay off for you in the end. So it may seem, like you may want to party, have a bit of fun, but with law school, especially when LPCs are very competitive, and LPCs, when you do LPCs, there is about 40% of those who graduate from LPC programs will not have a training contract once they complete. You will need you will need to, be able to best position yourself to get a training contract, and the best way to do that is having very strong grades, especially if you're going to a very weak school. If you go to a non-Russell group university, the best you can do is to position yourself is to make sure you walk out with full honors. So that's my tip and advice for you in regarding law. So like I was saying, again, if you do like, please, please share, and please follow. No problem. If you have something more specific, I'm happy to answer that. And also, too, I would say if you have any questions afterwards, take a look at, feel free to direct message me or go to Leap for Careers. You can schedule a 15-minute, no pressure, no obligation call to talk about your career situation. And get an idea and direction where to go forward. The other thing I'd recommend is if you don't want to go through kind of the career support and you want to do it more on your own, to offer to you, 2 download books for a small fee, and also I put on a disability guide for those of you who are disabled and trying to navigate, along with and later today at some point I will have on a how to negotiate your starting salary guide also too, and I think there will be a very small fee for that. So I would encourage you to take a look, and usually they are, if you take a look at the site, they are usually available as so I think when we're talking about, I know some people have questions and a bit of worry about the war. I think, I don't necessarily, I think there is always a bit, media has to sell advertising spots, so I think a lot of times they'll hype it up more than what it truly is. I think, there is an issue with you know, energy supply. I think that will have a impact. And then depending on the knock-on effect on inflation, it may, start to drive up prices. And in that respect, in that regards, I think it may be a situation that there may be further job cuts or losses. I don't necessarily think businesses would do so much in the way of cutting versus 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 trying to not cut back on hiring. And I think that would be the biggest. I think that will be the biggest issue. So, so I would think that's where we would probably face with the war. I don't think AI is taking all the jobs. I think, again, as I always will say, I think there is a, for lack of a better word, I think it will face a situation like we did with computers, where we see maybe the loss of some jobs, like we kind of seen kind of the loss of the traditional secretary role. But what we are seeing, we've seen other jobs created in the way of, we saw the programmer, but I think with AI programming is going to change. I think what we'll see then is, no, my job isn't TikTok. I couldn't live off of it. I don't have the desire, in all honesty, to I don't have in all honesty, the desire or the desire to do that. I'm in North Yorkshire. And for me, hey, thank you, for the roses. So I don't think we'll see. I think we'll see more of the, hey, thank you for the roses. I think we'll start to see a change, a shift again with AI coming in, different jobs created, some may be lost. Like I said, we kind of saw with computers, the loss of the traditional secretary, and kind of like the traditional loss of the traditional office secretary, office worker. And we kind of seen kind of like the administrator role kind of come in to kind of pick up some of the slack. I think it's you just spend to maximize your learning. Still a lot of prep outside the job. Do as much reading on it as you can. Then and then ask questions. If there's opportunities for you to take on more, take on. Just make sure you just kind of balance it and you don't overstretch yourself. So do what you can. yes, being a long year internship, um, just make sure you do, you do try to learn, do what you can about reading outside of work, outside the internship regarding your job. Learn as much as you can, um, either through guided learning, take on, opportunities to involve yourself as much as you can for yourself, but don't try to, over encroach. Um, and I think you should be all right with it. So it's, the more you can take, more you can study, more you can read, the better off you'll be. And take time to always, read, emails, take time to read, any policies, updates, anything that comes to you. Just make sure you don't ignore it, um, because that will be, I think a bad thing. Um, so just, again, take time. Okay, it's tough, but I think for you, um, I think when it comes, it is just knowing how to market yourself and how to put yourself out there. It is, employers in this market right now are really just kind of sitting back because there's so much unemployment. They can be very selective. Um, and so they are being very selective. And so if you can do, um, if you can do that, I think, you will be all right. I think apprenticeships are good. Um, um, it is, I think with apprenticeships, it's a good thing. Um, it's a good way to kind of give you additional skills. And yes, what would be, so what area did you graduate from? Because it is, like I said, it can be. Um, so, so yes. So I will be back. I can see we're kind of winding down a little bit. And so I will be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock, talking a bit more about career advice, career tips. I would encourage you to, if you haven't already, to take a look at Leap Start Careers. There's a couple guides um, that I have available, and I'll get my negotiating salary one up later today. There's a disability, a um, a job seeker's handbook um, that has a lot of templates, guides for you, examples, and also a career change for those who are looking to do a career change. And so I would encourage you to take a look at that. Also to take a look at the videos that I've done. There's several of them. And if you haven't already, please like, please share, please follow, take a look. at the videos, and really would encourage you to, that gives you further tips and advice on career related type of topics. So with that, I want to say thank you to everyone for the likes, the shares, the follows. Really great day today. Yes, I get a lot of people, believe it or not, who work the night shift and watch me, which I kind of find it quite interesting, because a lot will watch during the night as something to do, which is appreciated because, you know, it's something that they use to look, and so, and I'm thankful for those who watch during. And again, really thank you so much for the likes, the shares, and the follows. And I will be back tomorrow